Hi and welcome back to another Amazon selling video. This is sadly my last video on the beach, but I am leaving one magnolia to go to another magnolia. I'm headed to Waco, Texas to Magnolia Markets. Any fixer-upper fans out there? I'm really excited because this is my fourth time actually going, and every time we go there's something new, so I can't wait. I'm gonna visit all those new little shops. Last time it was a coffee shop, now there's all these other shops, so I'm really excited. If you're new to my channel, my name is Nikki Kirk, and I've been selling on Amazon, doing retail arbitrage, all from my fifth wheel RV, which I live in full-time as I travel around the country. Today I'm answering a question from Christina B on YouTube, who asked, how did you decide to start taking a profit out of your Amazon business? And I'm sure this is a question that a lot of people have, so I thought it was a great opportunity to answer. Obviously everyone's financial needs and life circumstances and Amazon sales are different. So for me, I had debt, I had bills to pay, but I was not supporting a family or had anyone else. It was just I needed to make a salary for myself to be able to travel around the country and pay my bills, right? So in Los Angeles, I went from a $1,300 a month apartment and no car payment to now an RV payment and a truck payment. But I do have a roommate now where I didn't before, so that does help. But of course, there's a lot of extra costs that go into RVing. So we're talking campground stays, which are not cheap, and gas, or diesel, because we have a diesel, so $700 in diesel every month. And of course we're eating, and I didn't necessarily plan to travel on the cheap. I mean, I wasn't trying to splurge and spend a lot of money, but I was kind of excited and just wanted to live my life without really having to budget a whole lot. So I was doing this Amazon thing part-time, and actually I still do it part-time. I've never changed. Obviously during Q4 when it's more exciting and sales are happening and the big profit is coming, I source a little more then because I want to keep making that money, and that's just the time of year. But other than that, I've always done it part-time. I source once a week, I pack up once a week, and then that's it. I've got the rest of the week to travel or sit around or do whatever I wanted to do. So when I started, I paid $300 for a training. I had like $200 with poly bags and stuff, so all the supplies, and then I had $500 set aside for my opening inventory. I was fresh off that Dave Ramsey mindset, so the thought of using a credit card actually didn't even occur to me until a little bit later. After I had spent that initial $500, I then was realizing that Amazon takes a while to pay you back your money, right? So in the second month, I took out another $750 from my savings. This is all money from my savings because I had saved up 6 months of savings to be able to travel and figure out what I wanted to do. I forgot to mention that I was unemployed when I started selling on Amazon. So now we're in my second month and I'm spending $750 more from my savings into more inventory because I really wanted to get this thing going. So now I'm all in at $1,700 at this point, or something like that, $1,750. And it was working. I could see that it was working. Now at this point, I'm only 2 months in and I knew how to get ungated in grocery, but it was a $200 minimum order, which it still is, and I didn't think I could justify that spend right off the bat. So we're going along, and then my roommate at one point was like, well, why don't you just use a credit card? Because I was complaining about how I couldn't buy inventory because I didn't have money to buy inventory, and it just didn't occur to me for whatever reason, and I was like, why don't I use one? So then I started using a credit card to buy my inventory, and I went through the ungating for grocery, got ungating, and just the whole profitable items started to open up. So here's my first 4 payouts when I started, just to give you a glimpse of what we're talking about here. So I started, my first shipment was the end of August in 2017. So by November, I had enough money to start taking profits out to just pay back my initial investment. So I think I first pulled out $1,000 and paid that part down. So I had a little spreadsheet that I was keeping track of this on, but it was an old computer that I don't have anymore. So I lost the spreadsheet at some point. So I was keeping track of my profit, and I took that initial part out, and I still had enough money to be buying more inventory. And then a little bit later on in November, I was able to pay off the whole investment. So now I have no investment in this anymore. It's just the business going on its own. It's free and clear. I am not losing any money if this fails at this point. Then the big Q4 payments started coming. So my first December payment was humongous. Couldn't believe it. And so that actually paid off all the credit cards of all the inventory, or credit card, I only have one, all the credit card of inventory that I had at that point. So then my second big payout it was actually the end of December, I think it was January 1st, that was all pure profit. So that was the first real profit I took out to pay myself, and it was exciting because it was a lot of money. Now obviously with Q4 being my, 4th or 5th month of selling, it really did help me to be able to get that money back. But typically Amazon sellers who they start taking a profit out around 4 or 6 months. So it was pretty in line. The key to knowing when you're ready to start taking out a profit is to understanding how much money you need for inventory. You don't want to skimp on your inventory to be able to pay yourself unless you absolutely have to. But you really want to keep building up your inventory to the point where you have the money now to keep this thing going and pay yourself because it's making that much profit. I feel like I'm just going to really quickly insert here what profit is because sometimes people don't totally understand it. When I'm talking profit, I'm talking about I paid off the cost of goods, I paid Amazon all their fees, I paid for all my softwares and all that stuff that I have for selling on Amazon, and then that's the extra money left over that I made. So I hope that clears it up a little bit. Okay, now this is the way that I continue to pay myself. So that first December was the first time I ever paid myself, but I did every month since then. And here's how I did it. I don't know if it's right or wrong or dumb. I really don't know. I've never really said it. I mean, I've said it in the BOLA group a couple times, but because I don't really know if I'm doing things right, but that's Amazon, right? We don't know what we're doing. We just kind of jump into it. So how I would do it was I started just using one credit card. I now have 2 credit cards, totally different than when I started because the first one was just a personal card, but I took out some business cards that earn miles and points like cash back because why not? I'm spending thousands of dollars every month to buy inventory. I might as well be getting extra money on top of that. So I have like so many miles now. I think I can fly first class kind of wherever I want to go. But anyways, that's another point. So I have 2 credit cards I use now. So I just let Amazon pay me every 2 weeks like they normally do. I know you can request earlier, but I just got in the habit of every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, Amazon will pay you out. And the first one of the month, I use that to pay off all the costs of goods, everything on my credit card. So my software, all the different applications I use, that's all on the same credit cards, my business credit cards. So I would pay that off the first payment of the month, and the second payment every month was my profits. Obviously, if there's stuff left over on the credit cards, I would pay that off, but that's how I did it. So I don't know if it's good or not. I mean, I still do it that way. It's just easier. So that's how I decided when to start paying myself. It was after I had enough money for inventory and also to take money out and pay myself. It can be a little tempting to pay yourself, especially if you have bills to pay. So I know you got to do what's best for you and your business, but that's just how I did it. And it allowed me to work part-time and travel the country, 45 or 46 states. I can't get it right anymore, but a lot of states. We've been back and forth across the country. Like I said, this is my 4th or 5th time back to Texas. We went to New England and that was a lot of fun. So yeah, RV life can be cheap. I feel like I've gotten better at it now, but in the beginning, you know, campgrounds were like $30 a night on the cheap end. Probably 35 is more accurate. So it is expensive. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope this video was helpful. And next time I see you, I won't be in Waco just yet, but in 2 weeks I will be. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a great week.